Have you ever a life where in public you could be physically assaulted by the police for wearing the shorts you desire? Think of a scenario where your cherished family members and relatives could be subjected to life imprisonment or public executions merely because you made a comment about your president, likening him as fat as a pig. How would you feel about inhabiting such a world? I lived in a dictatorship beyond what you can imagine, the world I just described. When I was 21, I risked my life to find fundamental human rights, the freedom of expression and freedom of choice. Through that challenging journey, I attained that kind of freedom many individuals born in democratic countries often enjoy without having to fight for it. So freedom means the world to me. With this in mind, I would like to commence my speech today by posing this question: what does freedom mean to you? At the age of 5, my parents divorced, which was uncommon in North Korea. My mother passed away, spending a decade in a mental hospital, while my father started a new family. I was raised primarily by my grandparents, who taught me to think for myself. They instilled in me a problem-solving mindset. This gave me the ability to challenge totalitarian principles under which I was raised. You see, the Kim regime attempted to control its citizens by surrounding them with propaganda and preventing them from accessing any outside of information. They suppressed foreign influences by targeting young people who wear clothing or adopt hairstyles from Western countries. Police patrol the streets with the groups stationed every 200 meters to inspect people's clothing and hairstyles. I remember one instance where I wore tight bootcut pants. The police approached, grabbed me, and began cutting my hair and my pants in the middle of the street. Simply dressing differently was seen as an act of resistance. I spent days in the police office, penning apologies for my attire. One day, I approached my grandparents with a question: why can I not control over my own body? Why can I not express myself freely? My grandparents replied immediately, saying there was no hope in North Korea. They encouraged me to go to China and live as a free individual. This is easier said than done. Escaping North Korea poses an enormous risk. Many individuals who are trying to leave North Korea are intercepted by Chinese authorities and repatriated to North Korea. Those who return are sentenced to prisons or concentration camps where they could be subjected to sexual violence and forced labor and torture, among other human rights abuses. Despite the risks, at age 21, I risked my life from escaping North Korea, reaching South Korea after a 50-day of journey across China, Laos, Thailand. I'm one of 35,000 North Koreans who have escaped to South Korea since the mid-1990s famine. Yet, even those who are lucky to escape like me still face the burden of not knowing what has happened to their families back home. Many North Korean defectors use a broker to stay in touch with their families and send money in a complex, expensive, and risky process. 3 years after my escape, I found a broker who could help me to contact my grandmother. This involved a smuggled mobile phone from near the mountains to make a call from the mountains from near the China border. I spent $2,000 to make one phone call. The pain of hearing of my grandparents and being unable to embrace her again was indescribable. Unfortunately, this agony is not unique to me. It's shared by many North Korean defectors whose families are back home. Many of those born in democratic society take for granted to call and see their family members whenever they wish. However, for North Korean defectors, contacting family even once a year is impractical, and seeing them is impossible. This is the sacrifice I made to live in a society, and because of this, I would never take freedom for granted. One of the biggest takeaways from my escaping is that freedom demands continuous effort. Even in a democratic society like South Korea, where I live now, freedom isn't free. I will give you an example. In 2016, I became a regular panelist on the TV show On My Way to Meet You, featuring North Korean defectors sharing their stories. I was just so excited to share about life in North Korea. However, over time, I discovered that panelists were not truly free to express their opinions. The directors would tailor the contents according to the political party in power, and they would offer more money to the panelists who told more dramatic stories. Leaving the show wasn't an easy choice. Payment of a day of recording could cover 2 months of rent. But I had to weigh all my values against the financial gains. However, when I reflected on the risk that I took to leave North Korea, I realized that I didn't want a job that I didn't have full-time freedom of speech. I ended up quitting the TV show and starting my YouTube channel to present North Korean human rights issues more accurately. In North Korea, I never got to make my own choices about my job and my clothing and the kind of TV shows I could watch. Now that I have a freedom to make my own choices, so I am very intentional about weighing all my options and considering the broader implications of my choices. As a person who lived under dictatorship, I can strongly say that freedom to choose is the greatest asset for humans. But this freedom is never guaranteed. Today's fast pace of social media and internet information encourage people to make quick decisions and find easy solutions. However, it is crucial not to make hasty decisions or jump to conclusions. Look at North Korea, which boasts free education and free medical treatment. Are people really living happier? No. I encourage you to make decisions after thorough analysis and consider how your actions will affect others and live a life according to your own values. It sounds simple, but it's a luxury many people around the world do not have. When I was your age, I risked my life to find a freedom. How will you make the most of your freedom? Thank you.